Okay, good morning, everyone. Good day. I'm Pat Picasso, your facilitator for today's webinar. On behalf of the officers and Board of Trustees of the People Management Association of the Philippines, 2020 FEMA President Luisa Mila Echeverria, and Executive Director Rene Hener, welcome to today's webinar brought to you by the Asian Institute of Human Resource Management, training arm of FEMA. Special thanks to Asian Institute of HRM Human Resource Management President Susie Chariela, officers and trustees, and to the FEMA professional staff for making this online learning session possible. Thank you all, everyone, for joining us. For updates on more free webinars, please like and follow FEMA's official social media accounts on YouTube at official PMAP1956, on Instagram and Twitter at PMAP1956, on Facebook and LinkedIn. Just search PMAP, People Management Association of the Philippines. For those watching us on YouTube, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Okay, so good morning once again, everyone, and welcome to Designing and Administering Flexible Benefits Program. As I said, I'm Pat Picasso, and I'm happy to be your facilitator for this morning's webinar. Okay, let's move on. Next slide. All right, I would have gone through a slide of introductions, at least get the opportunity to meet each and every one of you. But, given the current conditions, I don't think we can be able to do all of this, but nonetheless, let me just proceed with the next slide on what we'd like to be able to do as far as our norms are concerned. So first and foremost, I'd like everybody to keep an open mind. We will be discussing a lot of things, so definitely be sure to listen. Feel free to ask any questions. We have the staff on standby to take note of any question that you might have. You may either use our chat box or use our Q&A box as well. And of course, as we go through our discussion, there's a lot of things that you'd probably like to critically analyze. Be considerate as far as our session's concerned, considering the fact that we have certain constraints. But of course, do participate and let's have fun in the next 2 hours in our webinar. At the same time, of course, I can imagine your mobile phones are already on silent mode. And of course, in a webinar, we'd like to be able to remind everybody that your microphones should be off, but of course your cameras, if you have access, please do continue with that. We will be having a few activities. Hopefully, we'll be able to complete them as planned. And of course, we should probably be taking a break in about an hour as we complete our whole 2-day session, or rather 2-hour session. All right, so offhand, I hope that we're all set to get the ball rolling as far as this subject is concerned. At this point, I'd like us to watch a video. We have a video here we'd like to share with you. It sort of gives us a perspective on how to look at flexible benefits. So if we will go to this first, we'd like to play this now. Okay, let's go back to that video. All right. I think we're having some technical difficulties here, but nonetheless, okay, let me just give you an idea. Basically, the video would have gone through an idea of total rewards. As you can very well see, whenever we think of flexible benefits, we have to situate flexible benefits within the context of total reward system that we offer our employees. The total rewards system is, of course, part of the total strategic human resource management framework that we practice in our organizations. As here's just a slide on that. Of course, all organizations would have its vision, mission, and strategy. Of course, looking at the opportunity to be able to get performance from employees, no? At the same time, to inculcate good values from among people. In order to be able to do that, we also know that in human resources, we go through various functionalities, like starting from the upper right-hand side, you have human resource planning and staffing, moving on to training and development, leadership development, career development, and succession planning, performance management, rewards management, as well as personnel relations and personnel well-being. All of these activities that we perform in human resource management, and definitely with the end in view of extracting performance or eliciting performance and engagement from our employees. And as the slide shows, in order to be able to do that, we in human resource, no, because two individuals really carry the ball as far as the management of human resource is concerned. First and foremost, we in human resource take the lead, but definitely we also do need the help or the involvement rather of our managers. So as we go through strategic human resource management, this is really a something that both HR and line managers need to be able to work together on. Before, human resource used to be understood as a police, a records keeper, recruiter, trainer, or administrator. And that was in the past when human resource was looked upon basically as an administrative factor. But now, in the changing landscape of the human resource role, human resource practitioners are now looked upon more as talent managers. Talent economics and talent dynamics go into play. We are not only managing talent, we are also marketing managers. Marketing managers in the sense that we need to be able to get people interested, take part in our programs, and of course, ultimately be a strategic partner in the business. So it is that kind of changing landscape in human resources that we must consider as we think of designing and implementing flexible benefits, which is part of the challenge of being more strategic as far as our contribution to organizations is concerned. But of course, it also necessitates upon us to be able to look into ourselves. No? The whole idea of, are we personally ready to undertake such an effort in our organization? What am I talking about? I'm really talking about the way we look at our very own competencies. As human resource practitioners, we need to be able to build on sound human resource technical knowledge. Now, here are 4 interconnecting core behavioral competencies required to deliver world-class HR. Let me start from the bottom left-hand side of the screen, where you have personal mastery. What is personal mastery? Personal mastery is really sustaining one's professional credibility, your very own personal integrity, and moral ascendancy in the delivery of excellent and cost-effective HR services. So it basically asks the question, are you really interested in human resources? How well have you mastered yourself? You know, isn't it like every time we have a new staff in HR, or we sometimes ask ourselves, bakit ka nag-HR? Why did you go into HR? And people normally say, because I'm interested in people and things like that. So that's it. It's that interest in people. But more than just the interest, I think personal mastery is really what? The personal integrity. It's really a moral ascendancy, our very own way of our very own involvement as far as work in human resource is concerned. Okay, let's pause for a while. I think the technical group would like to address something. All right, I think we can proceed. Okay, so uh, all right, all right. I think that adjusts it. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for adjusting the slides. All right, let's move on. So from personal mastery, let's move on to the competency of engaging people in change. Now, what is that all about? It's constantly, and this is the one thing that I really like. It's constantly challenging the status quo, enabling change through people, facilitating the design of change intervention. So it's really looking at the situation and pursuing options. Maybe you can put it simply like that. Challenging the status quo is making sure that there's always something more that can be done. It's continuously challenging the things that are, and along the way, engaging people in change. And with your very own personal mastery, engaging people with change, you then become more people effective. And people effectiveness is about being genuinely concerned of and deeply sensitive to the voice of the organization and its people, ensuring competencies and engagement are maintained at productive levels at all times. So, personal mastery and the attitude of challenging the status quo hopefully make you more people effective. And really, as the key word I think here is sensitive to the voice of the organization and its people. Alam nyo kung ano ang nangyayari sa inyong organisasyon at sa mga tao ninyo. And it's not only knowing what is going on and what is with the people in my organization, but it's also really ensuring competencies and engaging them at productive levels. And I guess that would be the measure of people effectiveness. And finally, a core competency of an HR person would also really be partnering with the business. Okay? Ensuring that HR is aligned to support the achievement of goals through an in-depth understanding of the business and its people, coaching the business to consider people implications of options and decisions. Now, human resource has always been looked upon as a business partner, and we'd really like to be able to put ourselves in a position of our ability to be able to partner with the business. So first and foremost, I think it's important to know our business. Like maybe earns. I think that's where you begin to know your business first and foremost. Do you know how it earns? Do you know what makes it able to gain revenue? And from there, you can partner by working with the people in the organization. So here are 4 general HR, core behavioral competencies that HR people, I believe, should be of and have and develop in themselves in order to be able to really influence their organizations. A measure of personal mastery, engaging people in change, people effectiveness, as well as the ability to partner with the business. All right, moving on. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. All right, oops. There. As I said, we'd like to position this discussion within the context of total rewards. So we're going to take a look at the principles and concepts of total rewards, and then we'll walk you through the kind of design as far as flexible benefits are concerned. All right, so total rewards. Let's move on. All right. Here you have a slide that shows you certain challenges, okay? And these are very realistic challenges that are present right now in our environment. You know, as far as companies or enterprises are engaged, companies would look or are concerned about not just engagement, retention, competency development, as well as managing costs. Employees, on the other hand, if you will look at the right-hand side, employees are concerned about higher rewards, capacity for the employer to provide continuing employment, healthcare, especially nowadays in our times of COVID-19, that has really shown, you know, how important that can be to any worker at that for that matter, no? And as far as moving forward is concerned, future retirement. So both organizations have their interests and employees have their interests. But all of us are really within this environment of challenge brought about by globalization, technology, postmodern culture, pluralistic postmodern culture, as well as financial crisis. And I guess everybody is currently aware that right now, given the current COVID-19 situation, how we're going to deal with as we go back to our working environment is really something that is a challenge again to each and every one of us. Okay, so with all of those challenges, here's another slide which I hope, okay, here's another slide which gives you that contrasting view, reasons for joining a company. Now, this is very interesting. Take a look at the left column when all employees were surveyed. The blue color represents what employers think all employees want. So employers think that all employers want challenging work before base salary, before career advancement, before health and wellness benefits, and down the line. But when actually surveyed, employees, all employees said that it wasn't really challenging work, or rather what they say is what's important to them is base salary before job security, before career advancement, and down the line as well. So right there and there, you can already appreciate the difference in perspective. What all employees, when it comes to all employees, what employers think employees want versus what employees themselves actually want. Now, that's all employees. If you look at the right-hand side column, you will see when it comes to high potential employees this time. High potential employees, employers think will want challenging work ahead of ability to impact performance, ahead of career advancement opportunities, ahead of base salary and down the line. But when you ask the employees themselves, what appears to be more important to the high potential employees is career advancement before base salary and job security, then only number 4, challenging work. So it really is a contrasting position that employers and employees take. And this is now the challenge to us in HR. How do you bridge the gap by programs that we can hopefully implement to in order to be able to somehow that, like I said, bridge the gap or meet, bring see how management or how employers can meet employees and employees can meet managers, and in such bridging the gap really do go into more performance as they move along. Okay, so it's really this contrasting view, which is again a challenge to us. So at this point, we'd like to ask the question, therefore, in what ways does the employee value proposition need to shift to reflect the enormous changes taking place in the external environment? What should rewards look like when uncertainty and instability are the new normal? And I think these are really, really very relevant questions. Because when you talk of employee value, these are the specific reward programs that make it real in the employee's eyes. So what is that now? We probably need to shift. There's so much really. Like we at this point in time, we really have nothing definite as to when we can all go back to working. But I guess it's really also time to reflect, on the enormous changes that are taking place, and what should our reward systems for employees look like when uncertainty and instability are really getting to become the new normal? Okay, so the employee value proposition is, of course, by definition, an implicit contract or deal between the employer and the employee articulating the nature of the experience, where the employer offers in exchange for the employee's dedication, product, sustainable engagement. So from employees, we want their productivity, we want them to be engaged. The side of the employer, what are we going to do in order to be able to articulate precisely an engaging experience for the employee? Okay. All right. So as you can see, sorry, let's go back to the slide. All right, let's go back to those. Uh-oh. All right, let's look at this slide first. So we're all concerned about employee engagement, okay? But when you really look at engagement, it really necessarily has to involve components or areas that we need to target in order to really engage our people. If it's the people themselves, work, total rewards, opportunities, company practices, as well as quality of life. So if you will note, total rewards is just one of those things that can help you engage your employees. But there are many other areas. So just keep that at the back of our mind, because we will be focusing on benefits, we will be focusing on total rewards, but at the same time, keep back of your mind that these are not the only things that can drive engagement. Company practices by themselves can drive engagement. What you give by way of quality of life, they are things that can also impact on engagement. All right? Next slide. All right. So when we talk of total rewards, we've certain. Oh, sorry. All right. Okay. we talk about the cost of providing the benefit. Okay, we all know that benefits are not cheap. No, we definitely have a cost to that, so we definitely must take a look at that. The ability of the reward program to attract, motivate, and retain talented employees. Now, let me call your attention to this particular parameter. It is to be able to attract, motivate, and retain talented employees. No? So it's not just the whole of the organization. Well, of course, you'd like to be able to focus on the whole organization, but perhaps our real target would be the people we really like to keep, the talented employees. Clear alignment as well of total rewards with the business strategy. Okay, we'll see more of this as we move along. The willingness of employees to pay for an increasing cost of benefit plan coverage and to manage their own reward. This is a very important point here. Employees have to have a measure of willingness to pay for a potential increasing cost of benefit plan coverage and to manage their own reward. You'll see later as we move along into the examples of flexible benefits why this willingness to manage their own reward budget is important. At the same time, the ability of the reward program to accommodate the varying needs and interests of different generations. Okay? Next slide. We should also look at broadening the rationale behind total rewards, because it brought the definition beyond traditional benefits. Now, yes, there is what is known as traditional compensation and benefits, but the fact that total rewards management also should be able to offer managers more reward options to consider that will contribute towards business strategies and goals, enables organization to cover more ground in achieving desired objectives, focuses and drives behavior over a longer period of time, recognizes employee as a whole person. Okay, so all of that as we move along with our examples should become clear. Next slide. All right. Total reward management also holds the principle or the rationale that people work for more than just pay. They are also at the same time looking, for an organization. So it's not just pay. People are also looking for an organization that has a powerful vision of where it is going and how it plans to get there. At the same time, to an organization that wants to foster individual growth in acquiring skills that prepare them rather to add value to the business. So it's more than just pay. It's the knowledge that employees know they're growing, that they're growing with the organization. It's going somewhere. And that organization can also contribute to their acquiring skills. So it's not only pay, it's also individual growth. It's a compelling future that all leads to positivity in the workplace. So total reward strategy is a holistic approach. It encompasses everything employees value in their employment relationship, like compensation, benefits, development, and the work environment. So that's Kaplan. Now, you will note that total rewards management here, look, it does not only involve compensation or benefits, but also at the same time, development and the total work environment. So it's really a holistic approach. Okay, next. Here again, you might like to look at this as a rewards framework where you have the organizational culture, you have the business strategy, you have the people strategy of the organization. So those are basics. No? Those are things that have to be very clear from our end. The people strategy, the business strategy, and of course, organizational culture. Because these are the things that impact on cash compensation, impact on performance. These things impact the work environment. They also impact benefits, and they also impact on learning and development. Because all told, that culture, that strategy, that people strategy, and the different areas that it impacts on will lead you now to your total rewards value proposition. The work is engaging, the work experience is an engaging one, and therefore, if it is an engaging one, then it leads to business performance, better, improved business performance, as well as capability. No? So this framework is pretty important. I'd like you to really take a look at this because it gives you an idea of the basic, the things that need to really be in place, your strategy, your culture, the different areas that are impacted by all of these basics in order for you to be able to really move into to an engaging work experience and to the increase in business performance and capability. Okay. So you see that the total rewards management proposition connects with the business strategy to create a high performance culture. It creates affordable and sustainable costs. It generates maximum return on the reward program investment, and of course, supports your employment brand. All right, so it's really that total rewards perspective which is necessary in thinking about flexible benefits. Because all told, of course, it will have impact on your cost, on your return, and on your employment brand. Okay. The next slide also there shows you, puts you that framework. All right. Remember the earlier 2 slides back that we showed framework with the organization culture, business strategy, people strategy. So here, put in another concept, no? From the design phase on the left side to the delivery phase on the right side. Okay, so as you put together your rewards framework, you necessarily have to look at how are you designing it, your mix, your alignment, no, whether they are linked to one another, and of course the flexibility. You'll go through communication, governance and administration, and of course, very importantly, you'll need to be able to measure the effects of what you're doing, and all of those things, all right, will go into how well you're able to deliver. All right, so here's a choral complementary framework to the earlier one that we saw, where this particular framework brings now into fore your design, the necessity for a good design, and then how well you will communicate it, how well you will administrate it, and of course, subsequently, your measurement of results, right? Before, of course, as you go through your delivery of your total rewards framework. Okay, next slide. All right, so here's just some definitions of the components of that framework. We're saying we talked about cash compensation, all right? So this is obviously you pay employees. It includes the base salary. It includes both fixed as well as variable pay. Then you're talking about benefits. Now, these are, of course, the supplemental cash compensation that employees receive. Now, benefits, of course, you would have two. You'd have the government benefits, government mandated benefits, which would basically be your what? SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, and of course your company mandate, government mandated and company initiated benefits. No? And we probably at this point in time are more interested in the company initiated benefits. Then of course your work environment, a specific set of your company's practices, policies, and programs. But at the same time, you know, a corporate philosophy that actively supports total rewards management. No? So what kind of work environment do we have in the organization? At the same time, additional definitions. All right, performance and recognition. Of course, performance is the alignment of organizational, team, and individual effort toward the achievement of business goals. So it establishes expectations, skill demonstration, assessment, feedback, and continuous improvement. I would like to imagine you guys have your performance management systems also in place in order to be able to track performance. And on the basis of tracking performance, you are able to what? Give recognition or special attention for very good employee action, for behavior, and for that matter, performance. Okay, slide. All right, we also have learning and development. Of course, development, a set of learning experiences designed to enhance employee skills, and of course, career opportunities within the organization. All right, at this point, I think we have a question. Let's see. All right, we have one question here. Let's see. Given the crisis impact to the organization, would cut on company in-house benefit be considered an option to help the company not reduce workforce or lay off employees? Is this legal? All right. Let's answer this question live. All right. Yes, that's actually a very, very good question. Given the current situation, many organizations are actually really considering what they can do in order to keep afloat. And as a matter of fact, one of the things is, of course, looking at are there ways by which we may need to adjust certain benefits in order to be able to survive. Well, of course, the basic principle is we need to be aware of the fact that there's not supposed to be any diminution in benefits. So if we're talking basically about benefits, we'll need to really work hand in hand with the legal office in determining how far we can go, as far as what? Downgrading, or as far as changing, no, these benefits are concerned. There may be other ways. Well, anyway, just to give you an example, I'm also working for a particular client right now, and given all of these considerations, well, number one is we've put all hiring on hold. Definitely, that one is a way of being able to manage costs at this point in time. All hiring has been put on hold. At the same time, we have also somehow considered holding back on our regularization increases, because the organization has a facility for regularization increase. However, at this point in time, since we still don't really know how things will go moving forward, we do regularize employees at this point, even if we're on lockdown, but a regularization increase is somehow put on hold. Now, if you're looking at benefits, my feel is we may run a legal risk on that. So it's best to work perhaps with our legal office and see how far we can go as far as that is concerned. Okay, so I hope that was of some help, especially it's really a very realistic situation at this point in time. Okay, now going back, in connection with learning and development, so part of the framework also, total benefits affects also your learning and develop, or learning and development rather, can also be made part of your total relevance. Okay, let's move to the next slide. All right, so there you see what we just talked about. When you look at total rewards, so these are your components to total rewards. Cash benefits, where cash would include your salaries, your allowances, your bonuses, your benefits, government mandated as well as company initiated, your work environment, recognition programs, work-life programs, as well as learning and development. Okay, here's another way of saying it. Total rewards would encompass all of those things, no? Pay, benefits, recognition, work life, as well as learning and development. Okay. Now, here, the role of each component, because cash basically sets a basic lifestyle. It's your basic cash component, and therefore it gives employees a measure of the kind of lifestyle that they can enjoy. As far as variable pay incentives are concerned, this impact on performance, where you definitely have to link pay to performance and provides a differentiation based on the levels of performance. So like you would normally give excellent performers a little bit more than you probably would give satisfactory performers. No, I noted the question also earlier, something like high potential employees. All right, how do you identify, or how do you measure? Now, in answer to that question, high potential employees are identified largely through the help of your performance management system. No? Depending on the measures that you have in your performance management system, you should be able to identify who are your excellent performers, your very satisfactory performers, as well as your satisfactory performance. It should be able to give you a cross section, no, a cross section of the performance levels of your employees. Okay. Now, you can also have such other variable pay incentives such as gain sharing. Now, benefits, of course, the usual, retirement, medical, and of course, perquisites, something to boost employee pride, so to speak. Now, representation, executive leave, cars, these would, of course, impact on status and recognition, enhance the image and the recognition of employees, as well as for business representation purposes. Now, so each component of what you put into the total reward system has a particular role to fulfill. Okay? There you have it. Like, as far as your recognition programs are concerned, you probably have something like a Model Employee Award, a Service Award, Top Sales Manager Award. In your work-life programs, you probably have something like acknowledgement, appreciation, recognition, balance of work, culture, development, environment. I don't know, part of work-life program would also be how far have you gone on your actual work from home. Of course, right now, we're all on work from home at this point in time, no? But how are our policies as far as this are concerned? Okay, so the point here is each component has an impact, no, as far as your reward system is concerned. Okay, let me here. All right, sorry. Here, let me just finish this slide, no, because I'd like to sort of put everything in context first, because if you'll notice, depending on your objective on the left-hand side, if your objective is to either attract the right kind of associate, retain critical talent, drive performance, shape behavior, recognize effort, help employee meet needs, or improve the quality work of life, the shaded blue will give you an idea of what to work on. So, if you want to attract the right kind of associate or retain critical talent, you'll probably look at your base salaries plus your incentive programs. But incentive programs can also drive behavior and shape desired behavior. And at the same time, benefits can also recognize extraordinary effort or help meet employee needs, in addition to retaining critical talent. Recognition programs can help you not only retain critical talent, but drive performance as well, shape desired behavior, and recognize at the same time extraordinary effort. While your work-life programs will not only help you retain critical talent, but also help employee needs, as well as definitely improve quality of work life. So this grid shows you something which I hope is going to be very useful, depending on your objective, the kind of program that you should consider implementing. Okay, let me go at this point back to some more questions and answers. Let's see. Here's one. Is there a specific size of organization wherein FlexBen programs can be implemented? Actually, let's answer this live. There's no real specific size. It can work for what? A few of 50 employees to as many as 1,500 employees. The idea with a FlexBen program is you are giving them flexibility of choice. So there's no real specific size. Although the size of the organization might impact on the cost. Okay? So that is probably something. But if it is something that is cost effective, that you can manage cost effectively, even if you're a small group, then fine. You can proceed with a flexible benefit program. Size normally affects not the implementation of the program per se, but more on the cost of the benefit. All right. Here's another one. Earlier we mentioned about diminution, which of the components of benefits can be reduced legally and which those cannot. All right. So as I was saying earlier, perhaps it's best to have our legal people with us in looking at this matter. I would in my very own practice, when it actually involves a legal matter, I will definitely want to sit down with the legal officer of the company at the same time. I can, of course, be so creative as to how I'd like to do it in human resource, but I'd like to be tempered exactly by what the legal officers can advise us. All right. So I strongly suggest you work together with the legal offices and see what can be worked on, worked around as far as your organization is concerned. Oh yes, do we include the components paid time off? VLs and SLs as part of FlexBen? Yes, you will see this later in the examples. Yes, VLs and SLs can be part of flexible benefits. We will look at this when we get to our section on examples. Okay. All right. Fine. So let's move on. We still have a lot of material to cover, so I'd like to be able to share with you as much as I can. Okay. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Can we see the next slide, please? Okay, there we have it. Got it back. Sorry for that. I lost the slide for a while. All right. So there, okay. So here we are again. As we said, when you're looking at total rewards now, this is important in the sense that as part of the firm, no, and the organization, you'd be concerned about your program mix, alignment, integration, legal compliance, cost effectiveness as far as competitiveness. When it comes to the individual level, so it's a two-pronged relationship, actually, company and employee. On the individual employee level, individual valuation, his line of sight, communicating desired behavior, as well as managing changes. No? So these are three key principles in total rewards management. Okay, let's move on. So we're looking at the alignment of the firm's goals. So your rewards management should be aligned to your firm's goals, integrated with your HR interventions, and of course, considering the kind of mix in your benefits, fixed or variable, compensation and recognition programs, of course, the cost effectiveness of your package, Compliance to statutory requirements. See, that's very, very also important. Oh, number 6 is something that you'd like to be able to benchmark with competitiveness, because your rewards system should also be able to make you more competitive. It's not only to drive engagement or drive performance in the organization, but also to make you competitive versus your market. Individual valuation. All right, now where does it put employees? You should look at internal equity, no? Performance as well as person. Line of sight. What is line of sight? Line of sight is if the employee appreciates that it is relatively, no, reachable, that the benefit is relatively attainable for him. Hindi yung parang you conceptualize of something that's very attractive, but it's so difficult for the employee to reach that kind of benefit or to avail of that kind of benefit. No, so when you say line of sight, it's the relative ease by which an employee will be able to achieve or enjoy rather that benefit. Okay, and then of course it serves as a communication device to nurture and emphasize entrepreneurial activity, and at the same time manage changes in what? Compensation levels. Okay. So we now need to look at coming up with competitive packages to attract and retain right quality people, balance between formal programs as well as cost implications, suitability to your culture, and the higher cost of purchasing benefit programs. Now, here, this one's important, is an important issue. You need to have an infrastructure for implementing a good total reward program. Technology, all right. Availability of formal management systems, as well as the cost of availing expert advice. So when you're talking of total rewards, when you're considering flexible benefits, one thing to consider also is your infrastructure, because management of a flexible benefit can be tricky, can be challenging, and you need to have an infrastructure of it. Now, when we go to our examples, we'll see what we'll see more about this infrastructure requirement. Of course, identifying key behaviors that will be rewarded. What do you really want to reward? What do you really want to encourage in the organization? Creativity, willingness to take risks, dealing with ambiguity, okay? Things you need to take a look into. And then more of variable compensation to support entrepreneurial growth, short-term incentives versus long-term incentives. Okay, you might like to take a look at variable pay also, in addition to flexible benefits, and of course, performance-based benefit programs. Okay. Culture of strategy, as well as your delivery structures. Flexible versus standard, maximize technology, and here, this is important, explore outsourcing. In benefit giving, no, or in what you call this, in conceptualizing a benefit, consider also how it can be outsourced, if at all you can outsource the benefit. All right, so moving on, I would have had an activity here with you, but here's just some teaser question. Perhaps you'd like to keep this in mind. Does your company have a benefit philosophy? What is it? And what are the benefits that you currently give? Now, you need to have a starting point, no, in considering all of this. And one starting point would definitely be your very own benefit philosophy. Do you have one? If you have one, what is it? And then at the same time, latag mo, lay it all down on the table. What are the current benefits you're giving your employees and why? So that you can really study as to how you can make improvements on your total reward system, on your benefit system as you design something towards flexible benefits. Okay, so think about it. What's your philosophy? Do you have a philosophy? What is it? And what are those benefits that you give currently in your organization? Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right. Because when you're talking of benefits, there's several objectives. You meet welfare needs of employees and their families. Now, take note, no? Because when you design a benefit, you're not only considering the employees. To a certain point or to a large extent, you're also impacting their families. Okay? So, look at it comprehensively. No? In what way are you impacting on employees and potentially also impacting on their families? At the same time, how much limit, I mean, what's your tolerance to providing as much financial assistance to employees? Or you contribute to organizational objectives, of course, in attracting and retaining talent. Let's go back to the previous slide. Wasn't finished with that yet. All right, and establish the most efficient and effective delivery system. All right, good. Next. All right, so here you have typical benefits. All right, these are traditional benefit programs. You have your healthcare, your paid leave. See the VLSL earlier, the question that on that. Life insurance, retirement, uniform allowances, rights, and loans. All right, so these are your usual traditional benefits, okay? Let's go to the next. Now, each benefit would have a philosophy, would have a rationale. Like VL is intended, why did that change? So like all of these have their philosophies. Rice benefit will ensure that the employees and their families have a sort of staple food. The service award recognizes. So each benefit will have a reason, will have a rationale. And that's also very important to consider. What is the rationale of the benefit? Here, changes in retirement age, stressors on social insurance, convergence also at the same time between less and more developed nations. So there's a greater need to enhance social or occupational insurance in developing nations. But the cost of employment will increase in what? Developing nations. So depending also where we are as far as our social environment is concerned. Let's look at the next slide. All right. Now you also have decreasing fertility rates to consider, fewer working people. In Asia Pacific, you have the growing importance of benefits from nice to have to must have. And this one's rather important, no? Yung the must have kind of concept where you need to be adding flexibility, assigning opportunities, as well as wellness and prevention. Of course, wellness and prevention, our annual checkups, biometric screening, health risk assessment. All right, these are trends that you'd like, you might want to consider. All right, now I think this is where we can go now into the depth here. When we're talking about flexible benefits, because the basic idea is one size won't fit all. With the increasing diversity of the workforce, traditional benefit structures are beginning to get what? Obsolete. Okay, I hope we can appreciate the implication of that. Companies are normally would normally approach benefit traditionally. Yung bang one size fits all. You have a standard roster of benefits that everybody enjoys. But it has been shown that such a concept might not work for everybody, given especially the multi-generational issues that we have in organizations, where we have a mix of, many generations, where you have a mix of, individuals wanting this over wanting that. So given that consideration, that's where the idea of flexible benefits comes in. Right? So why not, if one size does not fit all, why not change the game? You have a traditional where you have 12 to 15 vacation leaves, 12 to 15 sick leaves, health and life. But look at what you can be flexible with. No? Now, you'll notice with a budget of 60,000 points, this is a budgeting approach, no, that some organizations can use. You can look at leaves, health insurance, even health insurance for dependents, life insurance for dependents, checkup, gym, rentals, spa, provident benefit, medicine, optical, and down the line. Now, plus, if I may add, other benefits that are more suited to the times. Okay, there may, like, what are you thinking of? I don't know if you might like to consider vouchers or trips, travel. People like, well, right now that isn't too much, it's not too possible to do at the moment, no? But then moving forward, there still may be certain things that we can think of by way of flexing our benefits. The idea is finding something that can go beyond being what? Being traditional. Okay, that's the idea behind flexible benefits. Let's look at the next slide. There you go. But when you're doing flexible benefits, look, things you need to consider. Right down the center of it is feasibility and readiness. All right? So, flexible benefit, we need to study, is our organization ready for it? Is it possible? We need to look at financial flexibility, cultural readiness, because cultural readiness is very important. Are our people ready to choose? Okay, because flexible benefits involves employees' choice, employees making choices, no, of what benefits they want. Are they culturally ready? As well as your administrative capability, alignment of these benefits to objectives, and of course, very critical, support. So a very basic question in flexible benefits, is your company ready for flex? All right. Because flexible benefits have gained more acceptance as organizations deal with a more diverse workforce. Development in information technology has at the same time removed barriers in administrative support. So flexible benefit programs, these are formal arrangements wherein employees are provided with a range of employer-funded benefits or a separate benefit spending allowance. Now, look, you can have a range and he can choose, or you can just give him a fixed allowance. Let's say X amount, part of your package gives you, let's say, 20,000 worth, and you can structure your benefit the way you want to spend 20,000. Okay, that's a separate benefit spending allowance. Employees can choose benefits from a menu of options using their allowance or downgraded benefits and salary contributions. So it's really a structure that passes choices to keys, depending on how he wants to package his very benefit. Okay, choices can come from different levels or different types, different or it can be different types of benefits. Because with flexible benefit schemes, employees have the choice to retain existing salary and simply varies of the benefit with allowances. You vary the level of benefit within their allowance or adjust their salary up and down or down by taking fewer or more benefits respectively, depending on the offer. Right? So I hope you're getting the idea of how flexible benefits scheme works. Okay, it's something that you can adjust up or down by taking fewer or what? More Okay, shall we continue? I think we can have a next slide. All right. Please stand by. I think having a technical problem. Slides are not moving. All right, there you go. All right, alternate. Okay, you got an alternative of way of packaging benefits from standard common content to all to a more differentiated. See there you go, to a more differentiated content. How do you customize content? You can either customize content by level. For example, you have for the supervisory level, for the senior rank and file, for the managers, for the executives, you can customize your content from a defined benefit and cost to a varied funding, or from company prescribed to employee participation. No? Okay. Next slide. Okay, right, there you go. Changing employee demographics will, of course, mean changing demands. Okay? So what's important is for us to be able to have a positive impact on employees, become more aware or become aware of the value of their benefits and not just take their benefits for granted, where they are able to tailor their benefits according to personal situation in order to be able to manage long-term costs as well as promote a culture of shared responsibility and empowerment. Okay, next slide. All right, see, so this is what I mean when we say, all right, that there are definitely changing employee needs. Okay? If you're in your 20s to early 30s, probably what you're looking for are, of course, your leaves, possible car, career training. When in your 30s, you look for lifestyle, house, career, work-life balance. But when in your 50s, you're more concerned of with medical, work-life balance, and university funding as well as retirement. So employee needs do change. Okay, next slide. So why are we encouraging flexible benefit? And basically, we encourage that because it can form an integral part of your reward strategy and should work in conjunction with your goals and strategies. And it has also been found that introducing a flexible benefit scheme will increase the perceived value of the reward package, no, at no additional cost to the organization. So we do really recommend you looking into the possibility of designing something along the lines of flexible benefit. There are certain good points that can really come out of having a flexible benefit arrangement. Okay, next slide. Now, from the employer's perspective, employers can provide benefits at a known cost that is fixed and irrespective of the choices that employees make, allowing employees to cap future costs. Employers can also be seen to be more responsive to their needs. More competitive package is also something that you can show by way of attracting and retaining key personnel and helps you to align your organization's reward strategy. Okay? So that's from the employee's perspective. They can choose to meet their needs. They have a true idea of the full worth of the package, and they are given a sense of control. Okay? So the need to diversity in the workforce brings what? Flexible benefits. There's also a need for security as well as the need for well-being. All right, now here, this is now looking into the types of benefits, okay, the kind of structures that you can look at. First of all, is what is known as a modular flexible benefit. Okay, so here's the kind of benefit. Modular. This is what you call the modular, where you have a package, package A, package B, and then the employee chooses what does he like. For example, package A has vacation leave of 10 days, a health care coverage of 300,000, life insurance of 3 times annual salary, and dental care. If that's what he wants, he gets that. Or he can choose from a package B. You have VL of 20 days, see, health care 150,000, life insurance of annual salary, and gym membership. So you see, you have actually 2 different packages from which the employee can choose. That's a modular approach. Okay, that's one type. So you can package several. Although I wouldn't suggest you package more than 3. No, perhaps 3 would be the maximum number of packaging that you can look into, because an employee will need. If an employee will need to choose from so many, you might make the choice rather difficult to do. So perhaps 3. I guess a maximum of 5 is something that you can consider. But you can structure your benefit packages this way, pre-designed modular. All right? Let's take a look at another. All right. Another would be a combination where you have, if you will notice, as part of the total rewards, you have the basic salary, you have core benefits, but there's a flexible program, the colored violet portion, where in addition to the core benefits, he can choose from life insurance, vacation, FSA, fixed salary allowance. Right? These are salary fixed allowances actually that you can look into. That's another way of looking at it. Combination type. Okay, wait, let's look. Another type I'd like to show you outside of the modular here. Wait, moduline. There you go. That's the slide I was looking for. Wait. So you have the modular. That's it. You have the modular, then you have the core plus, which is a combination of the traditional benefits and a flexible component. So you have a core benefits, which are maintained for everybody, but at the same time, you have a flexible plus version. Employees choose to add on. Employees can purchase benefits through credit that are given to them every year. So you have two basic choices. You have a modular, they pick the package that they want. Then you have a core plus. You have a core, which is good for everybody, and then they can choose from certain benefits. Okay? This is what I was talking about. This is the core plus, where you see it, the blue box has the core benefits, but you have a violet box where you have the flexible component. Okay. So if you'll see here, you have flexible components that they can choose from. You have a vacation component, you have option 1, option 2, medical component, option 1, option 2, life insurance component, option 1, option 2. Oh, there you have the flexible spending account, FSA. I'm sorry. So that's what the FSA means, a flexible spending account, when he can choose additional benefits. Okay? Or you can have a full flex. That's the third type of benefit. Well, all benefits are part of the selection and there is no core program. Employees can design their own benefit package available that you give. All right? So I hope that helps you get an idea of how you might like to structure it. You can either go modular packages, as I said, perhaps not more than 5 that they can choose from, or you can have a combination, core plus. You have a core which is good for everybody, plus flexible components that they can choose from as add-ons to their core, or you can have a full flex where everything is really depending on their choice of benefit. Okay? Let's go to the next slide. All right. Now, when you're going through flexible benefits, what's important, now this one's another very important framework that I'd like everybody to be conscious of. If you're really talking about flexible benefits, no, please take note, number 1, design. What's very important is how you plan to design it. What are the components? Are you going to go modular or core plus or full flex? And then if, for example, you have options depending on the component, like your VLs, you can have option 1, option 2. Your life insurance, you can have option 1, option 2. Your HMO, you can have option 1, option 2. So be conscious of your designs. Corollary to the designs are how much do they cost, their valuation. Now, again, as I said, cost sometimes is impacted by the size of the organization. Smaller organizations tend to have, becomes more expensive because, the cost has lesser people. You can spread all the cost on lesser people, no? So take a look at the valuation. And then, of course, funding. All right. So can the company really afford on funding, and then now enrollment, the administration, the actual management of it? You have to have the infrastructure, the IT system, or your HR staff or your HRIS system, depends, no? And then of course communication, and this is very critical in the FlexBen ecosystem, how well the benefits are communicated so that they are really understood by everyone. And then at the same time, who might your benefit providers be in terms of outsourcing? Remember, in the beginning of the session, we did mention to you that there will likely be possibility for outsourcing. So please take a note. This is the ecosystem by which you will be engaging yourselves in designing flexible benefits. Your design, valuation, funding, enrollment, system, communication, as well as benefit providers. Okay, well, let me just make a quick run through of the remaining slides that we have, no? In order for us to be able to have a little more time. I can see you guys have lots of questions. I'd like to leave more time for that as well. Okay, so anyway, don't worry. I will be glossing over some slides, but those of you who will be getting copies of this, no, you can always just go back and refer to slides that we may have here. So looking at the process, all right? So as I said, starts with what? Starts with feasibility of the program, okay? Where you're looking at drivers and the objectives of your program and the assessment of your current benefits. So do look at what you currently have. Do look at your benefit philosophy. What do you want to encourage? I guess you want to encourage not only engagement, but performance as well. So who do you want to engage? Do you want to engage more of the executives, more of the high potential employees? Who are your target markets as far as your flexible benefits are concerned? Then you design and develop your plan type as far as their features. But then what's important is, again, implementation. How well you communicate it, how well people understand it, and of course your enrollment and continuing implementation. All right? Now, in the design, you have your choice: modular, core plus, or full flex. Okay? So that's the process that you need to go through, or that you can expect yourselves to be going through. So feasibility, designing and development of the plan. Okay, see, when you go into the products, you have to be conscious of the pricing as well. Okay, that's the ecosystem we showed you earlier. All right, now, and of course, delivery. How do you deliver? How do you, enrollment? Now, number 2 is important. Administrative system to track selections and advise providers and administrators. See why you see now why the infrastructure is very, very necessary. No, for you to be able to have a system where you can really track the selection and of course advise providers as well as administrators. And the administrative setup, who are involved, of course, HR, IT, finance, legal, procurement, if you're doing things in-house, or if you have an outsourced benefit. No? So that delivery issue is also very important. And of course, costs, something that you need to look into. Cost management is very important. All right, so that was the slide there on process management. let's see. We're nearing the end. Oh, here now, the enrollment. See, uh, yeah, there's a template form here that we can see there. See, there you go. When you enroll, so like look at credit. Say an employee has a benefit credit of 30,000 pesos. And then you have the options that he can choose. Core is insurance air. So insurance costs him 500. Healthcare for the employee alone costs him 3,000. Then he can choose. He has choices. He has chosen a D, no, for dependent. He has chosen the E for vacation leave, and the D code for rights. And depending on their costing, all right? So the difference now, he still has about 19,000 to be able to add more or adjust on his benefit. So see, it's that kind of play, no? It's that kind of play as far as the enrollment is concerned. Okay, so enrollment, administration, delivery, either you do a once a year enrollment or outside regular enrollment for the new hires or newly promoted because lifestyle changes, someone who gets married, all right, then you do a re-enrollment for an employee who happens to get married, or you be a re-enrollment for what you call this, a re-enrollment for a baby that comes along, all right, added to the family. So those are the things that you'll need to consider. Design, communication, as well as structure. There you go, your planning, your distribution of materials, updating the system. All right, and this is also one of the things which is necessary because as you track and as you administer as you administer your flex benefit program, you'll probably need to be doing some updating as you move along. And of course, the most important element is ensuring that you are effectively communicating and educating your people. The success of a flexible benefit scheme is in communication and in education. Okay? Now, in communicating a plan, all right, so you introduce the concept first and foremost and the features of the plan. You guide the employees through the coverage. You assist managers in helping employees in the enrollment process, as well as providing sufficient ongoing administration to ensure continued acceptance of the program. So communicating the whole program is very important. And look, it's not only communicating it, but sometimes you'll need to go through training activities for it, like orientations. I guess you have your HMO orientation, or like during your company orientation, you discuss the leaves and the more traditional benefits. All right, so that's part of the whole process of communicating and training the employees as far as flexible benefits are concerned. Okay. Let's just finish a few more slides. So your plan, it has to be a written statement of what communication actions you will engage to support the accomplishment of specific goals, the time frame for carrying out the plan, the budget, and how you will measure the results. Okay, let me delve on this. No, you need to know how effective your programs are doing. And in that sense, you will need to structure at the same time how you will measure the results. For example, you're practicing a modular package approach. All right. So over a period of like a year, among the employees, new hires, existing employees, you'd probably like to study which package is more often chosen than other packages. All right? So it's things like that so that you will know how to adjust and where to adjust as you go along. The same is true if you're doing a core plus. Because your core, okay, you give that. That's good for everybody. Then the plus, which or among the pluses, what are moving? What choices are really being made from the plus? Or if you're doing full flex, what are the common choices from all of the different organizations? Now, I got a question that flashed on the screen somehow, no, that said, hindi ba dapat benefits common to everybody para walang inggitan? Well, yes, that's a very basic premise. Okay? Benefits para walang inggitan, all right, that they have. But if you will notice, even the government benefits are tiered. Like your benefit for SSS or your let's say your benefit for pag-ibig, how much you can borrow or how much you will get depends on your contribution. So it is common to everybody, but it can be tiered depending on your level in the organization. Either you consider your salary level, no, or your rank level, or even for that matter, your performance level. Because you can make certain benefits available at higher performance levels. If you're really a performer, you get this more, or you get much more of a particular benefit. If you're a performer, see, because it gets to become a way of rewarding performance. You're flexible enough because you want to reward the performer. It's not that you're just boxed in by a traditional what? It's not you're boxed in by a traditional approach. All right, I hope you're getting what I mean. No, where flexible benefits allows you enough flexibility to reward what you really want to reward. Okay, without you know, putting anybody on a lesser category or something like that. No, that's not the point. The point here is structuring it in such a way that it drives the performance. It drives the what? Engagement. All right. So I hope you're getting the gist of it. Okay. Let's just finish off a few more slides. So communicating the plan. That's important. All right. Here's just a grid. Like if your audience is management, your providers or union, what's your key message, channel? Okay, here's a grid for communicating, for a communication plan that you can use depending on your audience, your key message, your channel or media, who's responsible for it, and the timetable. All right, and that's something you can refer to as you plan out your communication plan. Okay, let's wait for the change in slide. Here, all right, there you go. It's still part of the communication plan, but it's relatively easy. You can refer back to that. Now, administration system, you can either have Excel-based, no? Or ask your IT to help you with the software, or it may be linked already to your payroll or HRIS, depending on the type of HRIS that you have with you. No? So it's good when you're talking of flexible benefit administration, do work with your IT guys, engage them in planning or developing the administration system that you will require. You can actually work with a very simple Excel or have them work on a software or tie it up to your current HRIS. Okay, now here's what I say when you need to manage your delivery, track coverage, pay benefit, monitor cost. No? assess employee satisfaction. There you go. I think that's what when you need to measure how are the employees open to your benefits, to the flexibility of it. All right. Then you monitor performance of your providers. I would imagine you're getting reports from your HMO providers, so you must also monitor their way of providing benefits. So total rewards total rewards will definitely tie up with your business strategy, your people strategy, your total benefit reward, as well as your simple benefits strategy. No? So all these things tie in together, and we need to be very clear how we want to proceed as far as each of these are concerned. Has to tie up with the business, has to tie up with our people development strategy, people management strategy. Then you tie in your rewards, then you tie in your benefit strategy. Okay? Just I think, let me go to, before we go into the question, all right, fine, wait a minute. Before we go into the question and answer, I think we can still have about 15 more minutes here. So, in conclusion, flexible benefits come in 3 forms. Remember, modular, core plus, and full flex. And is unique to an organization as well as to its employees' preferences. So you can work out any of those depending on your cultural and employee requirements. Flexible benefits serve to satisfy employee needs from basic to recognition levels. So maybe it's good to think of it this way. What benefits are necessary to satisfy basic employee needs? Start from that and then move up. I guess you're all very familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, no? So beginning from the basic needs of an individual, work your way up. What am I able to give in my organization that will address these basic human needs? Oh, if I may just add, there's been this visual already that I've seen. We're all used to the pyramid of needs that the bottom tier or the bottom of it says basic needs, food, housing, etc. No, the clothing. This time around, I've seen one drawing that puts something more or even below that basic need. And would you know what below that basic need is? Below that basic need for food, clothing, and shelter, some people now put the need for Wi-Fi connection. Nowadays is also very, very important. Am I able to provide something along that line? What can I do to give my employees that Wi-Fi connection? See, nowadays it really just needs for us to think again out of the box and find out how we can make benefits more attractive and more satisfying to the needs of employees. And finally, as employers, you can use flexible benefits to contain cost and attract and retain employees. No? So as you design these things, check costs, check feasibility, check especially if it can be outsourced. I don't know, nowadays, COVID-19 has introduced us to market deliveries. You can get vegetables delivered, you can get fruits delivered, you can get practically everything delivered. Would you like, if you happen to have a housewife, she can choose about marketing? I don't know. It's just something you might like to factor into your flexible benefits. I really don't know. No? But these are things that you can creatively, as HR practitioners, think of in order to use and make flexible benefits work for you. Okay? So at this point, I'd like to go to a number of Q&A. Let's see if we can. How can you measure the effectiveness of a total rewards program? All right. Measuring the effectiveness of a total rewards program will necessarily just have to involve tabulating You can do it through surveys. You can do it through interviews, focus group discussions among your employees. You can tabulate their preferences as far as their benefit structure are concerned. You can always what? You can always have something that will give you an idea of preference, no? And as you get ideas of preference, then you will see how effective you are. All right. So devise a survey or call them to a focus group discussion. Let's see, some very, very interesting questions. All right. This one, I'd like to be able to see if we can look at this here. We have an annual salary increase. Okay. We have an annual salary increase scheduled every April. A manager was asking if the salary increase this year, for the increase this year, if our increase will not be implemented this year because of the current situation, how do you communicate that to all employees? First things first, I'd like to recommend that you sit down first with your higher management. This is a very, very real situation. Many organizations are deferring adjustments. Deferring salary increases that are supposed to probably be scheduled already. I really don't know as far as supposed to be scheduled bonuses are concerned. But if you're talking about increases, I do know that several organizations are deferring increases. So I suggest you sit down with higher management, no, and discuss precisely how do you communicate this, because I guess people will understand these are difficult times, and we do have to realize, people just have to realize that at a certain point in time, we do not, or we will not necessarily get what we probably are expecting to get. Because precisely previously, I mean, all of that was given normal circumstances, nor usual normal circumstances. But circumstances are not usual at this point in time. So I hope everybody just remains open to that. Okay, talking about variable pay, what composes this? All right, PMAP, Asian Institute of Human Resource Management, also has training on variable pay. Maybe we can ask Aya when her next session for variable pay is scheduled, and then we'll be happy to let you in on variable pay in that particular session, especially if there will be a webinar on this. So watch out for PMAP announcements on variable pay. All right, this one is interesting. How often should we add to our benefit offerings? All right, is there a general percentage we should consider on our total benefit package annually? All right, it will be best that this is dictated by the results of your review, no? If you do conduct an annual review benefits, then adjustments will be dictated accordingly, because you need to have a basis. I will not say adjust every year. I will say adjust depending on the results of what your survey shows you, no? So you'll need to really get into a survey or a study of how effective your benefits are going. Now, as far as the general percentage increase is concerned, that will depend on the ability of the organization to handle the cost. But nowadays, I don't know, given the very adverse economic effect we are experiencing at the moment, maybe I will not recommend yet, no, at this time, looking at adjusting benefits. I will probably look, even right now in this situation, I will probably look at flexing some, seeing if I can make tipid somewhere. I really don't know. Depends on your actual benefit, no, and your actual costs. Because if it will allow me to do that, then I can hopefully elevate a recommendation to management. But adding at this point, increasing at this point, baka wag muna. No? Let's see how things settle down first as we move along. Okay? Okay. This is interesting. Clarification on flexible benefit, wherein it was mentioned that salary can be or can move up or down in favor of other benefits. Does it not violate the no diminution policy? All right. Well, frankly, salaries move up and down. Well, more like up, no, rather than down. Salaries move up on the basis, like when you give what? When you give merit increases, salaries move up, right? So, in that sense, now, when you're talking of benefits, kasi, look at it on a monthly basis. Look at it at a total annual package, right? When you're packaging, it is best to also consider your total annual packaging, no? Because you may keep the salary steady, no? The salary component, the basic cash component steady, but you're adding on the benefit such that your total pay is moving or down, depending, no? Kasi down in the sense that you may move a particular benefit, or cost rather, benefit cost from here to here. And if you do that, it may drop it. But there's really nothing. I mean, in terms of diminution, you're not really lessing, or you're not really decreasing anything. The numbers are probably going up and down. But in terms of the actual availment of benefit, you're not really decreasing. Huh? Okay. So two things. Take a look at not just the monthly thing. No, take a look at the total annual and see how you can move up or down on that total basis. Okay. Wait, let's. I think we still have time for one or two more. All right, here. Is it possible to implement flex benefit to a specific population in an organization? What is the possible impact if the implementation is selective? Yeah, I have seen organizations that implement a flexible benefit on a what you call this, on a selective basis, selective on a selective specific populations. But most organizations would normally do this at the higher level, on the executive level, on the vice presidents and up. They have more of a flexible benefit compared to like rank and file, supervisors, or managers. But normally, vice presidents and up, I've seen, you can do that. And people do this, an organization can do something like that in order to attract lower level employees to strive better. Because like, if a particular benefit is given only at an executive level, it creates a desire within lower levels to also do their best so they can go up into that particular level. So you can implement on a selective base depending on, again, your strategy, your business strategy, as well as your people strategy. Okay, and this one, I'd like to answer this for the sake of the unionized companies. Moving to flexible from fixed benefit package, hindi ma-consider yun na diminution. Unionized ang company namin. Okay, that's very true. Working with unions can be rather, shall we say, activity. But to tell you, based on experience, no, because I also used to work before with a company that was unionized, we were already at a certain point in time uh, beginning to get the union interested into flexible benefits, and they were open, no. So I guess it's just a matter of handling how you can really position the idea of flexible benefit under a unionized environment. It's a matter of your communication plan, and it's a matter also of your design, making them appreciate that they do stand to probably address more of their needs if they agree to begin to go flexible. And if they see that, I'm sure you won't have one. I'm sure you won't have problems. All right, here. To do about certain industries that practice flexible benefit. Okay, just something just to share with you. Yes, one industry I know, there are industries that do practice flexible benefit. One that I'm familiar with, banks have flexible benefits, and as their benefits are concerned. And I do know also that there was a time that one of the banks, and the reason why because I also come from the banking industry, there's one reason. There was a time when my bank, medyo we couldn't compete effectively with another bank because the other bank was giving the benefits as a package, and giving it in cash. While we were giving traditional benefits, that bank post their package, benefit package, and then give it as salary. So they would quote a tremendously high monthly pay. But it ends up, the reason they give a tremendously high monthly pay is because bahala ka sa kotse mo, bahala ka sa mo, bahala ka sa mo, bahala ka sa ganun. No? So in the banks, there is a practice also of flexible benefits. Okay, maybe you can check with some of your friends in the banks if they do have something like that. All right, so I think we're just about time. So let's see. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone for attending and participating. I hope to be able to give you at least some seeds, no, that you can begin to plant towards in implementing flexible benefits in your organization. We can always keep in touch through PMAP. I can continue to guide any of you who might like to have some idea on how to do these things. For those of you who will be getting the materials, that's good. You can get back and study them, or at the same time, keep in touch. All right. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It was good spending the time with you, being with you, and still sharing things in this environment. Maraming